Good afternoon, Brian with Grand Roofing doing a quick roof install DIY how-to first-person view of installing the boot for the riser pole. So I got a call to come out and install this, and I was under the impression as they killed the service, put a new boot on. Actually what they did is they completely removed and moved the panel, pole and all. So I don't know where it was, but they were remodeling, moved it to here. You can also see how the riser kind of comes up and over. Get the ladder set up in there. Figured I could bring you along and shoot this one. So I got the telescoping ladder up here because it's so close to the bottom edge. I don't want to work from above, reaching down below. It's kind of hard. And I don't want my ladder resting on the gutter, putting me high up into the mast here and all the cables. So what we're going to do is be cautious, be careful. It is all brand new. It's all covered and insulated, but nevertheless, we're going to be careful. First person view, GoPro on the head, telescoping ladder in this case here, which by the way, I'll leave a link. I do in most all my videos. This thing is sweet. You can extend it in increments from bottom up. Got it resting just under the gutter here. Gives me room to be below this and work on this. Go one more up here. So what you can see is they just simply slid a new one down on the pole, but the pole itself is new. So what they did is they cut a hole, ran the pole up, had the power company come finish the top with the service and everything. I was under the impression the boot was existing. They just need to replace because they slid a new one down. Figured I'd get it worked in. And no, they actually had a hole here. So this should not take long. We're gonna need basic tools. Flat bars to split the shingles, knife to cut a shingle, hammer, cap nail to cap it back in. And based on where this one breaks, rule of thumb is the shingle that's down under the flashing needs to go back past the back side of the pipe boot here. So if you lift this and you look at this, we'll look at this real quick and then we'll get into it. Okay, so this shingle comes up and it will go an inch, inch and a quarter or so, inch and a half past the buildup here. So it passes the shingle, that's high enough. This one goes way high. If you were to put the pipe boot down on top of this one, being as high up as it is, you risk water coming from this point down the side getting in. You could go that route. As a matter of fact, I think that's what we're gonna do on this particular one just because of the location of this one. If you have this here go up higher, it's kind of hard to describe. I really need a picture of it. But okay, so if this one came down lower and you wanted to put this under here to completely hide this, that's where the problem is, where water comes off and misses the headlap of the shingle underneath. So imagine this gone, it comes off and could miss the headlap here if this is lower. It's in that area, you could use your discretion, but because this is a new hole coming through a newer roof and it's pretty aggressively sealed, we're gonna split this seal strip over, remove this nail. Being as soft as this is, we should be able to roll it right under, trim the backside, and get it installed, re-nail it, reseal it. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get the GoPro on and give you guys a chance to follow along here. I'm probably guessing maybe 10 minutes to do this, not much. And then as usual, when we're done, we're gonna seal what we do with the sealer, clean up a little mess, and get out of here. So just a minute ago before grabbing the camera, I pulled on this and it was pretty aggressively sealed. That's why I got two flat bars. This one had a little bit sharper edge. Sometimes you're just gonna have to get in there and work it. Sometimes you can get under this keyway here and come down and split it. Most of the time you can work it like this motion here to break it free. Other times it's gonna be so aggressive, you've just gotta be careful and use it like a knife and kind of hit it at different angles. You don't wanna tear the shingle. If it's gonna be that aggressive and you tear this and you need to replace the one above it, well, you know, I gotta split this one and it could be a never-ending process. You just gotta be careful. Another tip, I don't have it, I went to the truck to look for it. It's almost like a painter's tool. So imagine a paint roller. When you're done, it's got this hook on this handle and you can scrape the paint out of it. Those work really well too to get up in here. It's like a flat wedge, almost like a wider point here that you can get into it. But when it's in, it's got that hook to scrape the paint roller like this. So like right here's the point and right here on the side is the hook to scrape paint out of a paint roller. You can get that in there and it's sharp and you can work it like a knife cutting that at a downward motion. I don't think it, well, I mean, I don't have it, so we're gonna get by without it. So you can see where I got to right here. We don't have much more. Pop that nail out, split this just enough to get that tucked under. And then it's a little trim of the shingle and we should be good. Be careful you're not going to get into these. If you see power lines where these are all worn out, then definitely do not get near them. But these are all new. I'll show you here getting into it. It's actually not bad. It's this side here being a one thickness, not the buildup. It was a little thin and easy to tear. So just work it Sometimes you might have to come back when it's warmer or cooler. Temperatures can make them easier or harder. Just going out far enough to allow this to flex. If you pin this down right here, you're not going to lift this high. If you break it free a little bit further, you can lift this a little bit easier. I think we'll be able to roll that down into there. So let's do a real quick idea of how far we're going to need to trim this right here. And honestly, from where they've already cut the hole, it's not bad. It's a little rough, so we'll probably clean that up with a hook blade once this is rolled down. I've got kind of a hump here. I don't know what they did when they cut this hole. That should cover it. We're going to seal that little, like a possible tear in this shingle when it humped up when they installed this. The shingle under it should be fine though. But to get rid of this hump, we're actually going to cut it. To cut it, you just got to be aware there's a keyway right here. So as long as we're over enough from this keyway right here, hopefully these cables aren't in your view. This keyway right here, where these two come together, right there. As long as you don't cut this near there, we cut it here, this will flop flat. Using a hook blade, just come down your flat bar there so you don't cut anything under it. And that'll lay. But because I can see under there, yeah, the shingle underneath is fine. It looks like they did damage this a little bit, but I don't have shingles on the truck this color. You can put a piece of flashing under it, seal it. We're gonna opt for sealing it. Get that bead of sealer under there. It'll be perfectly fine. It's not gonna hurt a thing. This is gonna cover a lot of it right here too. Basically where my thumb is. We're going to get this under and then sometimes you come down the side like this. Just gonna have to work it. Just slowly work it, rotate it, twist it, pull it, finagle it, push it, bump it. Oh, there's another nail. It's caught on. There we go. Let's get that nail out of there. I don't know if you can see it. It was behind the pole here. I didn't see it, but looking down this side, see it sitting right at the flat bar there at the tip. Right there. So we're going to get in there, get that out. You can see, it's hard to see right there. There you go. Get that out so it's not going to raise anything up. Now it should finish rolling down in there. Get it to relax. You don't want it pulled so tight that you have a kink in this like that. You want it to relax around that boot, or the boot to relax around the pole. There we go. Now I'm going to run a bead under this from here down just to seal that tear in that shingle. Normally it's not necessary because we know there's a tear there, just past the tear. All right, I'm gonna nail this off real quick. This is very flappy. You don't want to leave this. Nails or screws. Screws are better. They're gonna have threads they're gonna hold in, but the important thing is don't do it right at the bottom or right near the edge. I've talked about this before. Water running down this, surface tension will wick under. You want to pull them in a little bit and up a little bit. And obviously, like I said, a screw would work better. I don't carry screws all the time. On a normal boot, bigger boot, the more rigid due to being steel or aluminum or something, I try to put it under this. The water coming down from here, we're above the roof, like 1 inch of rain hits here, it's 1 inch of rain, but multiply that by all the inches behind it. It's a lot of water. So as it hits this and diverts, typically the nail right behind the pipe is going to have very little water getting on it, just splattering water, and what little rain hits that because everything else is diverting around it. But if you do that, this is still very floppy. Raccoons and squirrels will definitely tear into that. So we're going to put them about right here down the edge. We're going to seal it with this sealer I've got. This is 1-bys, it's in there. Keeping this just right of that seal we put under. We're going to seal those here in a minute. Now it's not going to blow up to the point where it's going to get into that. I'll probably put a couple dabs around there to help hold that down. But the next thing we're going to do is trim this right here a little bit better. Being cautious, I'm not going to get into those boots up there, or the wires. Now when you trim this, carefully you don't cut the boot. Just work it slow. Sometimes when it's cold, if you need to, get your finger planted, get your hook in there, and you can push with your other hand, your thumb like that. That way you're not tugging. When it breaks free, it slices the entire shingle. So, and you also want to open that up just enough to give a little bit of a channel for water to run through. And then same on this other side. We're gonna be careful for these cables here. Hook that shingle gently. That's because of the position I'm at with these cables here. It's probably right in your view. Clean it up just a little bit right there. Looks a lot better. Let's get a nail. Let's put a little bead down this too here and help hold that down. Get a nail right up here in that location. You don't want it where the water diverts around here. Ideally, you'd want them up at the top, or not breaking that seal strip to get into it. This is only a several-year-old roof, and it's aggressively sealed, so splitting it would be a nightmare. With the AJC mag hatchet, links in the description, but a magnet, you can somewhat manipulate where. So the left side, as you're swinging, the left side, the right side, up at the top, down at the bottom. So just know that if you're swinging, it's on this left side, you got to have the hammer that much further under. So on the right side, where it grabs, now you can barely get under the shingle here, and you should be able to hit that a little bit better. So right there, there we go. Everything is in the way right here. Let's get that driven down. This is a soft boot. It wanted to kind of push a wrinkle in. You want to try to avoid that, but look at what I'm working around right here. So on this side, we're going to shift it to the right side of the hatchet, and we're going to try to swing in like this right here. That should be perfectly fine. That's still nailed here and over here. I never took the nails out of this row. Put a dab sealer there. Come up that side of the pipe boot, down covering that nail. Same on this, up that side of the pipe boot, and cover that nail. Some people totally disagree with putting a nail in that, but I'm telling you, this is so flimsy here. All right, the reason I'm sealing up the side as high as I can is because typically you're gonna have that nailed down and you can make sure everything's laying good, the shingle's covering it fine, no issues. But if any water does want to come out a little bit with those nails hitting that flange down low, because I try to keep them up higher, it's gonna be sealed. So before I press that down in there, where I split this over here, I wanna reach under, try to get a little dab, periodically spaced. And now we're gonna just squish that in, because you want that laying in its final flat resting position before that sealer seals. If you did not, that sealer, whoops, is gonna seal in that position. So you wanna make sure you get it worked down where it's gonna lay. Make sure I didn't leave any of my nails, little pieces of trash. Nails, trash are clear, flat bars, hatchet, and that's about it right there. Where are we at? We are on 14 minutes, so not long with commentary, setup, and everything. Water coming down, you got a little channel for water to flow. Anything you've split is resealed. It's all nailed off. Pipe boot is installed. If this needs a bead, I mean, it's soft, and you could see when I was showing you earlier about tugging on it, but it's all tight and sealed. If you need to, you can always reseal that a little bit. All right, that is about it here. We're wrapping up here at 15 minutes. If you guys got anything good and beneficial, you know what to do. I'm not even going to ask you this time. You know what to do. It does help support the channel. If you want to see more of this content, and I know there's engagement, then it'll encourage me to do more of it. And if you guys don't want to do that, then shame on you. But for those you really got benefit, I appreciate you watching till the end. Let me know where you're watching from. And as always, until next time, be safe. We'll see you then.